Have you ever wondered if it's really possible to make a woman fall in love with you in just 3 days? Now I know that sounds bold, maybe even unrealistic, but stay with me, because this isn't about tricks, manipulation, or playing some kind of game. It's about something deeper. It's about creating a connection so real, so genuine, that time almost doesn't matter. See, most men think love is built on grand gestures, lavish dinners, expensive gifts, flashy shows of status. But that's not what makes a woman's heart open. What truly matters is how you make her feel in your presence. Does she feel safe? Does she feel understood? Does she feel like you see her, not just as another pretty face, but as a whole person with her own dreams, struggles, and spirit? And here's the surprising truth. When you approach it the right way, you don't need months to create that feeling. Sometimes, all it takes is a few days of being intentional, of showing up as your best self and focusing on the little things that actually matter. In this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to do that. Step by step, you'll learn how to leave a powerful first impression, how to build emotional connection, how to be thoughtful and present in ways that most men overlook. I'll show you how to make her feel truly special, how to bring playfulness and lightness into your interactions, and how to let her see your passion and purpose, because passion is magnetic. By the end of these 3 days, she won't just see you as someone interesting. She'll feel like she's known you longer than she has. Because what we're talking about isn't rushing love. It's planting the seeds of something real. So, let me ask you, are you ready to stop relying on tricks and instead learn how to connect with a woman in a way that actually lasts? If so, let's get started.
You know, one of the biggest mistakes I see men make when it comes to love and connection is that they take themselves way too seriously. They walk into a date like it's a job interview. They speak like they're filling out a resume. And the whole time she's sitting there wondering, where's the fun? Where's the life? Let me tell you something important. Playfulness is magnetic. When you bring a lighthearted, fun energy into your interactions, you take away the pressure, and suddenly being around you feels easy, natural, and enjoyable. And trust me, women remember how you made them feel far more than what you said. Humor that comes naturally. Now, I'm not telling you to start rehearsing jokes or act like a comedian. That usually firebacks. I'm talking about having the courage to laugh at yourself, to not take every little thing so seriously. Picture this. You're on a date, and you accidentally knock over your drink. Most guys would turn red, apologize 10 times, and let the moment kill the vibe. But imagine instead you laugh, look her in the eye, and say, well, I guess my drink just wanted more attention than me tonight. Suddenly, instead of awkward silence, you've turned it into a shared laugh. You showed her that you can handle small mishaps with ease. That kind of energy makes her feel relaxed around you, like life doesn't have to be perfect to be enjoyable. The art of gentle teasing. Now, let me be clear. This is not about making fun of her or crossing lines. It's about noticing little quirks and highlighting them in a way that's affectionate and fun. Maybe she always grabs the last slice of pizza. You smile and say, so that's your secret strategy. You let me think I'm winning until the very end. Or maybe she insists she's terrible at singing, but you hear her humming along to every song. You could say, don't lie. I think you're training for a secret karaoke championship. When done with warmth and a smile, Playful teasing creates a little spark between you. It's like you're sharing an inside joke that only the two of you get. That's intimacy in disguise. Spontaneity brings excitement. Playfulness isn't only about humor. It's also about being open to spontaneity. Think about it. When was the last time you did something unplanned just because it felt fun? Those are usually the memories that stick. For example, you're out walking together in the park. Instead of just strolling in a straight line, you point at a tree and say, "Race you to that bench. Loser buys ice cream." Now you've turned an ordinary walk into a playful challenge. Or maybe you're at a street fair and you suggest trying a silly game neither of you has played before. These small bursts of spontaneity show her that you're adventurous, and life with you won't feel dull or predictable. Why playfulness matters more than you think. Here's something I've learned over the years. People are drawn to those who make them feel lighter. Life is heavy enough already. Work deadlines, bills, responsibilities, we all carry them. But when you bring laughter and fun into the mix, you give her something rare, a break from the weight of the world. And it's not just about her. Playfulness helps you too. It reminds you not to carry your own stress into the interaction. It keeps you grounded in the present moment. It allows you to enjoy the time together instead of overthinking what might happen tomorrow. A personal reflection. I'll share something personal with you. Years ago, I used to think I had to impress women with how serious and responsible I was. I thought showing my fun side would make me look immature. But the truth was, that seriousness was pushing people away. One day, I was out on a date and I tripped on a curb. Instead of brushing it off like nothing happened, I laughed at myself. To my surprise, she laughed too. And you know what she told me later? That moment made me realize you don't take yourself too seriously. It made me feel comfortable with you. That was a wake-up call. From then on, I realized that being playful doesn't take away from your maturity. It enhances it. It shows that you're confident enough to enjoy life as it is. So, if you want to stand out, don't underestimate the power of playfulness. Remember these things. Laugh at yourself instead of hiding mistakes. Tease her gently in a way that makes her smile, not frown. Embrace spontaneity. Try new things together, even silly ones. And most of all, let her feel that being with you is light, joyful, and easy. At the end of the day, what we all want in a partner isn't just love. It's laughter, it's joy, it's that sense that life is better when we're together. So I'll ask you this. When was the last time you truly let yourself be playful? When was the last time you laughed so hard that time seemed to stop? Imagine bringing that energy into your relationship. Imagine being the reason she smiles, even on a tough day. That's the power of being playful. That's how you turn ordinary moments into unforgettable ones.
You know, one of the most magnetic qualities a man can have isn't his looks, his money, or even his charm. It's his sense of purpose. Let me put it this way. When you meet a man who clearly knows where he's going in life, who's lit up by something bigger than himself, you feel it. There's an energy about him, a presence, and that energy is contagious. Women feel it too. Passion draws people in. Ambition gives them a reason to stay. Why passion matters more than perfection. Now, don't get me wrong. Passion doesn't mean you need to be a millionaire or that you have to have your whole life figured out. It means there's something you deeply care about, something that makes you come alive. Think about it. When was the last time you heard someone talk about a subject they truly loved? Maybe it was music, maybe it was building furniture, or it was a cause they believed in. Their eyes light up. Their voice carries excitement. That spark pulls you in, doesn't it? You find yourself leaning closer, curious, inspired. That's the power of passion. It's not about showing off. It's about showing that you're
alive. Speak with energy, not ego. The key is how you share it. Too many men mistake ambition for bragging. They list achievements, drop titles, or talk about money. But true ambition doesn't need to shout. It shows in your excitement, in your commitment, in the way you talk about what you're building. For example, instead of saying, "I own a business," imagine saying, "I've been building this startup for a year now. It's been tough, but I love the challenge. Every setback teaches me something new." Do you hear the difference? One is about status, the other is about journey. And women aren't drawn to your resume, they're drawn to your fire. Share your world beyond work. And passion doesn't have to be about career. It could be your love for fitness, your commitment to learning an instrument, or your dream of traveling the world. What matters is that you let her see what lights you up. I'll give you an example. A friend of mine, in his late 50s, recently took up painting. He doesn't plan to sell his art. He's not trying to become famous. But when he talks about painting, he speaks with such joy, how it helps him slow down, how it challenges him to see the world differently. And you know what? That passion makes him magnetic. People lean in because they can feel his authenticity. The balance between drive and connection. But let me give you a word of caution. Ambition is attractive only when it's balanced. If you're so consumed by your goals that you have no time for her, that doesn't create connection, it creates distance. The sweet spot is this. Show her that you're a man with a mission, but also a man who knows how to share his world. A man who can chase big goals and still make space for love. That balance tells her you're not looking for someone to complete you. You're inviting her to join you on a meaningful journey. A personal reflection. I'll be honest with you. In my younger years, I thought women only cared about the surface things, looks, money, status. So I worked hard to perform in those areas. But the more I grew, the more I realized what really drew women in wasn't the car I drove or the suit I wore. It was the way my eyes lit up when I talked about something I loved. I remember once I was sharing with someone about a project I'd been working on. It wasn't glamorous. It was just a community program helping young men build confidence. But I was passionate about it. And she told me later, when you spoke about that, I could see how much you cared. That's when I felt drawn to you. That moment taught me something I'll never forget. Passion reveals character, and character is irresistible. Bringing it all together. So here's what I want you to take away. Find what excites you, whether it's your career, your hobbies, or a personal project. Share it with energy, not to impress, but to inspire. Balance it with presence. Let her see you're driven, but also available. Let your passion show your character, because that's what people truly connect with. At the end of the day, ambition and passion aren't about being perfect. They're about being alive, being engaged with life, being a man who's going somewhere. That energy makes you magnetic, not just to women, but to everyone around you. So let me ask you this. What's the thing that lights you up inside? What's that goal, that dream, that pursuit that makes you feel fully alive? Don't hide it. Share it. Because when you do, you're not just telling her who you are. You're showing her the kind of life she could be part of. And that, my friend, is how passion turns into attraction.
You know, one of the quiet truths about love, and one that many men overlook, is that respect isn't just about being polite. It's about giving space. Most men think if they just give more attention, send more texts, show up more often, that she'll feel loved. But let me ask you something. Have you ever had someone cling to you so tightly that it felt suffocating? Did it make you feel closer to them, or did it push you away? That's the mistake many men make in relationships. They confuse closeness with control. They think love means always being there, always checking in, always making sure she knows where they stand. But the truth is, love breathes best when there's space. Space builds trust. Here's the reality. When you respect her time, her rhythm, her independence, you're telling her something powerful. You're saying, I trust you. I value your world, not just mine. I see you as a whole person, not just someone who exists for me. Think about it. If she tells you she's had a long day and wants a quiet evening to herself, you have two choices. You can take it personally, get upset, maybe even guilt her for not wanting to see you. Or you can respect it. You can say, I get it. Rest up. I'll check on you tomorrow. Which response builds trust? Which response makes her feel safe with you? Exactly. Respect isn't weakness. Now, some men worry, if I give her too much space, won't she forget about me? Won't she lose interest? No, my friend, respect isn't weakness. In fact, it's strength. When you hold back from controlling, you're showing her that you're confident enough to let the relationship breathe. You're not desperate. You're not measuring your worth by how often she texts back. You're a man who's grounded in himself. And that kind of man is magnetic. A personal reflection. I'll share something from my own life. Years ago, I dated a woman who loved running marathons. She trained for hours, sometimes disappearing for entire weekends to travel for races. The younger version of me might have felt threatened. I might have asked, why aren't you spending that time with me? But instead, I learned to lean back and support her passion. I'd cheer her on at the finish line, but I didn't demand her training revolve around me. And you know what? She respected me more for that. She told me once, I never feel guilty chasing my goals because you never make me choose between them and you. That taught me a lesson I carry to this day. Love doesn't grow from clinging. It grows from freedom. Why space creates attraction? Here's something many don't realize. Giving space doesn't make her drift away. It actually draws her closer. Why? Because space creates mystery. It gives her a chance to miss you, to wonder about you, to look forward to being with you again. Think about a song you love. If it played non-stop 24/7, you'd get tired of it, wouldn't you? But when you hear it after a break, it hits you differently. It feels fresh. The same principle applies in relationships. Respecting her world. Respect also means honoring her individuality. Maybe she loves painting or reading late at night or spending time with her family. Don't compete with those things. Don't make her feel guilty for enjoying them. Encourage them. Show her that you admire the parts of her life that don't revolve around you. Because when she sees that you respect her independence, she'll value the moments she chooses to spend with you even more. Bringing it all together. So let's tie this together. Don't confuse closeness with control. Love needs air. Trust her enough to give her room when she asks for it. See her as a whole person with passions and routines outside of you. Remember, space creates mystery, and mystery creates attraction. At the end of the day, giving respect and space doesn't mean you love her less. It means you love her better. It shows maturity, patience, and real confidence. So let me ask you, are you the kind of man who clings or the kind of man who gives freedom? Because women don't fall for the ones who grip too tight. They fall for the ones who respect them enough to let them breathe. And that, my friend, is how space becomes the quiet language of love.
You know, words can do a lot. They can inspire, they can comfort, they can connect. But sometimes what we can't put into words is even more powerful, and that's where the power of touch comes in. Now, let's be honest. This is an area where many men get it wrong. Some rush it, making things awkward. Others avoid it completely, worried about crossing a line. But when done thoughtfully, respectfully, and at the right time, touch can create a deeper bond than almost anything you could ever say. Touch speaks a language of its own. Here's the truth. Touch communicates in ways words never can. Science even backs this up. A light touch on the arm, a gentle hug, even something as simple as holding hands. These things trigger oxytocin, the bonding hormone. That little rush of chemistry makes both people feel safe, cared for, and connected. Think about it. When was the last time someone you trusted put a reassuring hand on your shoulder? Didn't it instantly make you feel supported? That's what respectful touch does. It builds trust without a single word. Timing and context matter. But let's be clear, not every moment is right for touch. The timing and the context are everything. Touch should never feel forced, never feel like you're testing her. It should flow naturally from the moment. For example, if you're sharing a laugh, a gentle tap on her arm as you smile makes sense. If you're walking through a doorway, a light hand on her back as you guide her through feels thoughtful, not pushy. And when you're walking side by side, if the energy feels right, reaching for her hand can turn an ordinary stroll into something intimate. The key is this: touch should feel like an extension of the connection you're already building, not something you tack on. Read her signals. Now this part is critical. You must learn to read her signals. Not everyone is comfortable with the same level of touch, and if she pulls back, stiffens, or avoids it, that's your cue to give her space. Respecting boundaries doesn't weaken attraction. It strengthens it because it shows you're tuned in and considerate. On the other hand, if she smiles, leans closer, or even initiates touch herself, that's a good sign she feels safe and connected. In that case, touch can become a natural way of deepening the bond. Small gestures, big meaning. Here's something most men don't realize. Touch doesn't have to be grand or dramatic to be powerful. It's the small, subtle gestures that matter most. A light brush of your hand against hers as you laugh together. Resting your hand on her arm for a second while she shares something personal. Or yes, something as simple as holding her hand as you walk side by side. I'll tell you this, holding hands might seem old-fashioned, but it's one of the most intimate, reassuring gestures there is. It doesn't scream passion. It whispers closeness. It says, "I'm here with you, and I want you to feel safe with me." A personal reflection. Let me share a personal story. Years ago, I was out on a first date. We were walking back to the parking lot after dinner, and the conversation had gone well. There was a quiet pause, and instead of filling it with words, I simply offered my hand. She took it, and in that moment, the connection shifted. She told me later, "That was when I knew you were someone I could feel comfortable with." It wasn't a big move. It wasn't dramatic. It was a simple, natural gesture, but it carried more weight than anything else I could have said that night. Why touch creates connection? At its core, touch reminds us that love isn't just about words, it's about presence. It's about showing her in the smallest ways that you're engaged, you care, and you're confident enough to express it physically while still respecting her boundaries. And here's the thing, when you combine touch with everything else, respect, attention, playfulness, it doesn't just add to the connection, it multiplies it, bringing it all together. So remember these simple truths. Touch speaks louder than words. Timing is everything. Let it flow naturally. Respect her signals. If she pulls back, give her space. Small gestures mean the most. A hand on her arm, a gentle guide through the door, holding hands. Touch builds trust and intimacy when done with care. At the end of the day, it's not about how much you touch. It's about how thoughtfully you do it. Because the right touch at the right moment can open a door to closeness that words alone can never reach. So let me ask you, when was the last time you truly paid attention to how powerful a single small touch can be? Maybe it's time to notice, because when done with respect and care, touch isn't just physical, it's emotional. And it might just be the bridge that brings you closer than you ever imagined.
If there's one thing that separates a fleeting conversation from a bond that lasts, it's emotional connection. Attraction might catch her attention, but connection, that's what captures her heart. A lot of men don't realize this. They think it's about charm, clever lines, or trying to impress. But let me tell you, none of that matters if she doesn't feel truly understood. Connection is what makes her feel safe with you, curious about you, and willing to let her guard down. And it all starts with rapport. Listen with presence. The first step is simple but powerful. Listen. Not half listening while planning what you'll say next, not nodding along while your eyes wander. I mean listening with presence, looking her in the eyes, giving her your full attention. Think about it. When was the last time someone really listened to you? Not to fix your problem, not to rush you, but just to understand you. Didn't it make you feel valued? That's the feeling you want to give her. So when she shares something, maybe about her work, her family, or even something small, don't jump in with solutions. Instead, validate her feelings. A simple, "That must have been tough. I can see why you'd feel that way," goes a lot further than you think. Ask deeper questions. Another way to build rapport is by asking questions, not surface-level ones, but questions that show you're genuinely curious. If she tells you she loves gardening, don't just say, "That's nice." Instead, ask, "What got you into it? What do you enjoy most about it?" Suddenly, you've moved past small talk and into a space where she feels her passions matter to you. And here's the secret. When you show curiosity about her world, she'll naturally want to open up more. It's human nature. We all want to share with those who actually care. Share your own vulnerability. But connection isn't just about her. You have to share yourself too. And that means dropping the mask a little. Now I know, for men, especially as we get older, this can feel risky. We've been taught to always be strong, always in control. But here's the truth. Vulnerability isn't weakness, it's courage. If she talks about a challenge she's facing, you might say, "I went through something similar once, and honestly, it scared me at the time." By sharing your own fears or struggles, you're showing her you trust her, and that trust invites her to do the same. Find common ground. Rapport also grows when you find similarities. It could be as simple as both loving the same music or discovering you grew up in similar towns. Those little sparks create a sense of us. I'll give you an example. Years ago, I was talking to a woman who mentioned she loved hiking in the mountains. I told her about the trails I used to hike with my father, and suddenly it wasn't just her story or mine, it was our story. That feeling of common ground builds a bond faster than any pickup line ever could. And finally, let's talk about empathy. This is what takes rapport from good to great. Empathy means not just hearing her words, but stepping into her shoes, imagining how it feels for her. If she's had a rough day, don't brush it off with, "You'll be fine." Instead, say, "That sounds really frustrating. I'd feel the same way in your position." When she feels understood at that level, you're no longer just another man in her life, you're someone she can lean on. A personal reflection. I remember once during a conversation, a woman told me about losing her job unexpectedly. Instead of giving advice, I just listened. I told her I could imagine how scary that must have felt. She later told me, "I don't remember everything you said that day, but I remember how you made me feel safe." That's what emotional connection does. It makes people feel seen, heard, and valued. And that feeling is unforgettable. Bringing it all together. So here's the heart of it. Listen fully, not to fix,
but to understand. Ask deeper questions that show curiosity. Share your vulnerability so she can see the real you. Find common ground to create a sense of us. Respond with empathy so she feels understood. At the end of the day, rapport isn't built on flashy gestures. It's built in those small, quiet moments where she feels you truly care. So let me ask you, when was the last time you had a conversation where you felt someone really got you? How did that feel? Imagine being that person for her, the one who makes her feel safe enough to open up and connected enough to want to stay. Because that, my friend, is how emotional connection turns into lasting love.
If there's one quality that quietly separates men who build lasting love from those who don't, it's not charm, not looks, not even money, it's reliability. Now I know that doesn't sound flashy. It won't make headlines in a magazine. But let me tell you this. For a woman to truly feel safe with you, she needs to know that your words and your actions line up. She needs to feel that when you say you'll be there, you will. When you promise something, you follow through. And when life gets messy, as it always does, you remain steady. Why reliability matters so much? Think about it. How many people in your life have let you down? Said they'd call, but never did. Promised they'd show up, but left you waiting. Over time, those little disappointments erode trust. And once trust is gone, love doesn't stand a chance. Women don't just fall for the man who excites them in the moment. They fall for the man they can count on over time. Because reliability is more than convenience. It's security. It's the quiet message that says, "You can lean on me. I won't let you fall." The power of keeping your word. Here's the simple truth. If you say you're going to do something, do it. No excuses, no forgetting, no brushing it off. It could be something small, like calling her when you said you would, or something bigger, like following through on plans you made together. Every time you keep your word, you're building a track record of trust. Every time you break it, you're weakening that foundation. And let me tell you, women remember, they notice the details. If you consistently show up when you say you will, it speaks louder than 1,000 sweet words. Be steady in the little things. Reliability isn't just about the big promises. It's about the little, everyday actions. Being on time, checking in when you said you would, remembering something important she told you. These things might seem small, but over time they paint a picture of who you are. I'll give you an example. A buddy of mine once told me how his wife of 30 years said the thing she loved most about him wasn't the vacations or the gifts. It was that every single morning, without fail, he brought her coffee just the way she liked it. That's consistency. That's love made real in daily action. Reliability creates emotional safety. Here's why this matters so much. When she sees that you're consistent, she feels safe. And when she feels safe, she can relax, open up, and truly invest in the relationship. Without that safety, she'll always hold back, wondering if she can trust you. It's not about being perfect. Nobody gets it right all the time. But it's about showing that your default setting is steady, that your love isn't hot one day and cold the next, that you don't vanish when things get hard. A personal reflection. I'll be honest, in my younger days, I wasn't always reliable. I'd overcommit, say yes to things I couldn't deliver, or show up late thinking it wasn't a big deal. But I learned the hard way. Every broken promise chips away at trust. I remember once I told someone I'd help her move on a Saturday. Something else came up,
and I backed out at the last minute. She didn't get angry. She just said, "It's okay, I'll figure it out." But the way she said it, it wasn't okay. Something between us shifted that day. And I never forgot that feeling. From then on, I decided if I gave my word, I'd treat it as sacred. That shift changed not only my relationships, but how people looked at me as a man. Bringing it all together. So what does this look like in practice? Keep your promises. Big or small, your word is your bond. Be on time. Showing up when you say you will shows respect. Stay consistent. Don't be warm one day and cold the next. Let your actions prove your intentions. Words fade. Reliability lasts. At the end of the day, reliability may not feel exciting, but it is the very thing that turns sparks into fire, and fire into something that lasts. So let me ask you, when she looks at you, does she see a man she can count on, or does she see someone who talks big but disappears when it matters? Because love isn't built in the grand moments. It's built in the quiet, steady ones. The times you show up again and again until she knows deep in her bones, this man won't let me down. And that, my friend, is how consistency becomes the foundation of lasting love.
If there's one thing every human being longs for, it's to feel seen. Not just noticed for how they look, but truly valued for who they are. And if you want to build a bond that lasts, you need to make a woman feel special in a way that goes far beyond surface compliments. Most men default to the easy stuff. "You look beautiful," or "I love your smile." Now, don't get me wrong. Those are nice, but after a while, they lose weight. Why? Because they're safe, generic, and anyone could say them. What makes the difference is when you notice the deeper things, the qualities that show you've really been paying attention. Compliments that matter. Instead of just saying, "You look nice tonight," imagine telling her, "I admire how dedicated you are to your work. The way you talk about it is inspiring." Or, "I love how you make everyone laugh, even on tough days. That says something about your spirit." Do you feel the difference? One is about appearance. The other is about character. When you compliment her on who she is, her resilience, her kindness, her creativity, you're speaking to her soul, not just her surface. And trust me, that's what lingers in her heart. The power of full attention. But here's another truth. Words alone aren't enough. What really makes a woman feel special is your attention. In today's world, distractions are everywhere. Phones buzzing, emails piling up, endless noise. So when you sit across from her and put all of that away, when you lock in, look her in the eyes, and really listen, that makes her feel like the most important person in the room. Think about it. Have you ever had someone talk to you while checking their phone every 2 minutes? How did it feel? Like you were an afterthought. Now flip that. Imagine the respect and validation she feels when you give her your undivided focus. That's rare, and rarity feels special. Acknowledge the little things. Making her feel special also means noticing the little details most people miss. Maybe she makes a thoughtful comment in a group setting. Point it out. "That was a really good idea you shared earlier." Or maybe she does something kind to a stranger. Tell her, "I admire how compassionate you are. Not everyone would have done that." It doesn't have to be grand gestures. It's the consistent recognition of who she is and what she does that leaves a lasting impression. A personal reflection.
I remember years ago, I was having dinner with a woman who was telling me about a volunteer project she had been working on. She expected me to just nod along politely. But I leaned in and asked about the people she was helping, why she started, what it meant to her. At one point, she paused, looked at me and said, "You're the first person who's ever asked me those questions." That moment changed everything. Not because I said something brilliant, but because I made her feel seen. And to this day, I believe that's one of the most powerful gifts you can give someone. Why this works? When you make her feel special, you're not just giving her compliments, you're building trust. You're saying, "I see you, I value you, I notice the things others overlook." That makes her feel safe, appreciated, and more connected to you. It's not about flattery or manipulation. It's about genuine presence, and women can feel the difference instantly. Bringing it all together. So here's the formula for making her feel special. Compliment specifically. Focus on character, talent, and unique qualities. Give full attention. Put away distractions and truly listen. Acknowledge the little things. Notice her efforts, her kindness, her spark. Make her feel seen, not just admired. At the end of the day, women don't just want to be told they're beautiful. They want to be understood, valued, and appreciated for the person they truly are. And when you can give her that, consistently and sincerely, you move from being just another man in her life to being the man who makes her feel unforgettable. So let me ask you, when was the last time you made someone feel truly seen? Not just noticed, but valued for who they are. Imagine being that man for her. Imagine being the one who reminds her every single time that she's not just another face in the crowd. She's special. And when you can do that, you're not just building attraction. You're building a connection that lasts.
In a world where people are constantly distracted, rushing from one thing to the next, one of the most powerful ways you can stand out is by being thoughtful and intentional. Most men think they need grand gestures to impress a woman. Expensive dinners, flashy gifts, dramatic surprises. But the truth is, it's the little things that leave the biggest impact. It's the details that show her you've been paying attention, that you actually care. The power of small gestures. Think about it. Imagine she mentioned once, just in passing, that her favorite drink is green tea with honey. Weeks later, you show up with exactly that, without her asking. It's not about the tea, it's about the message behind it. I listened, I remembered, and I care enough to act on it. Or maybe she tells you she's been stressed at work. Instead of just saying, "That's too bad," you follow up the next day. "Hey, how'd that meeting go? I know you were nervous about it." That tiny bit of thoughtfulness tells her she's not just someone you spend time with. She's someone whose life matters to you. Intentional with time. Being thoughtful also means being intentional with your time. When you're with her, be with her. That means putting the phone away, turning off the TV, and giving her your full attention. We live in an age where everyone is half present, half in the room, half in their screen. So when you give her 100% of your focus, it makes her feel valued in a way that's rare today. And here's the kicker. It's not about the amount of time you spend, but the quality. An hour of genuine presence is more powerful than 3 hours of distracted company. Thoughtful words. Your words can also carry thoughtfulness.
Instead of the generic, "How's your day?" you might say, "You mentioned you started that new book. How's it going so far?" Or, "Last week you said you wanted to try a new recipe. Did you get a chance to make it?" These simple follow-ups show that you didn't just hear her, you remembered. And in remembering, you show her that what she shares actually matters to you. A personal reflection. Let me share a story. Years ago, I was seeing someone who loved jazz music. She told me once, almost casually, about a small jazz club downtown she'd always wanted to visit. She never brought it up again. A month later, I surprised her with tickets to that exact club. Nothing fancy, nothing over the top, but when we walked in, her face lit up. She said, "You remembered." That night wasn't about the music. It was about her realizing she was seen, valued, and cared for. And honestly, that moment taught me something. Love doesn't live in big gestures. It lives in the details. Why thoughtfulness matters. Here's why this is so powerful. Thoughtfulness builds trust. It tells her you're not just going through the motions, you're paying attention, you're invested. And it's not just attractive, it's rare. Most people are so wrapped up in their own lives that they miss the small opportunities to show care. So when you're the man who notices, who remembers, who follows through, you stand out without even trying. Balance is key. But let me add a caution. Being thoughtful doesn't mean overwhelming her. It's not about flooding her with constant attention or trying to score points. It's about balance, being genuine, subtle, and natural. The best thoughtfulness feels effortless. It doesn't shout, "Look how much I care." It whispers, "I was thinking of you," bringing it all together. So, how do you be thoughtful and intentional in a way that makes her feel truly valued? Notice the details. Her favorite drink, her habits, her passions. Follow up on what matters. Ask about things she's shared before. Be intentional with time. Put away distractions and be fully present. Use your words with care. Make her feel heard, not just talked to. Keep it balanced. Gentle gestures go further than grand displays. At the end of the day, women don't fall for a man because of the size of his wallet or the flash of his lifestyle. They fall for the man who notices, who remembers, and shows care in ways that feel personal and genuine. So let me ask you, when was the last time you made someone feel remembered? Not because you had to, but because you wanted to. That's what thoughtfulness really is. And when you bring that into a relationship, you don't just make her feel special for a moment. You make her feel cherished for a lifetime.
There's an old saying you've probably heard 1,000 times. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. And as much as it sounds cliché, it's true. Think about it. Within the first few seconds of meeting you, she's already forming an opinion. Not because she's shallow, but because that's how human beings are wired. Our brains make snap judgments for safety, for trust, for attraction. The way you show up at the very beginning sets the stage for everything that follows. Appearance speaks before you do. Now, let's start with the obvious, your appearance. No, you don't need a $1,000 suit or a luxury watch, but you do need to look like you respect yourself. A clean, well-fitted shirt, shoes that aren't falling apart, and grooming that shows you made an effort. Those small details matter. Why? Because they send a message. If you don't take care of yourself, why would she believe you'll take care of her heart? But when you show up neat,
polished and confident, you're saying without words, I value myself. I value this moment, and I value you. Body language is louder than words. Now, appearance is only half the story. The other half is your body language. Are you standing tall, shoulders back, eyes forward? Or are you hunched over, staring at the ground? The first communicates confidence. The second communicates doubt. And trust me, she feels that difference immediately. Eye contact is another big one. Not staring, not glaring, just steady, warm eye contact that says you're present. Add a genuine smile, and you've created instant approachability. And don't underestimate the power of something as simple as a handshake, or even just the way you greet her. Firm, friendly, not rushed. That small gesture can set the entire tone of the interaction. A warm smile changes everything. Now, let's talk about something even simpler, your smile. A smile says, I'm comfortable with myself. I'm glad to be here. I'm open to connecting. And that's irresistible. Think about the last time someone greeted you with a warm, genuine smile. Didn't it put you at ease? Didn't it make you feel welcomed? The same goes for her. A smile doesn't just make you more attractive, it makes her feel safe. And safety is the foundation of any connection worth having. A personal reflection. I'll never forget a story a friend once told me. He said he met his wife at a work event. He didn't say much at first, just walked over, introduced himself, and smiled. She told him later that it was his presence in that moment, not the words he used, that made her curious. She felt his calm confidence. That was enough to make her want to know more. That's the thing about first impressions. They're not about saying the perfect line. They're about creating a feeling. And that feeling lingers. Why this matters. Here's why first impressions carry so much weight. Once someone forms an opinion, it takes a lot to change it. If she feels you're confident, approachable, and grounded from the start, you've already built momentum. But if she senses insecurity, disinterest, or sloppiness, you're starting from behind. And let me be clear, this isn't about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about showing up as the best version of yourself, the one that reflects who you really are when you're at your strongest. So, how do you make a strong first impression that sets the tone for something meaningful? Dress with care. Not flashy, but neat, clean, and put together. Stand tall. Confident posture communicates strength before you even speak. Make eye contact. Steady, warm, never overbearing. Smile genuinely. It's the simplest way to create trust and warmth. Start strong. A friendly, intentional greeting leaves a lasting mark. At the end of the day, first impressions aren't about perfection. They're about presence. When you show up looking your best, carrying yourself with quiet confidence, and offering a genuine smile, you set the stage for everything that follows. So let me ask you, if you were meeting someone for the very first time tomorrow, what impression would you leave? Would your appearance, your body language, your presence reflect the man you truly are, or the man you're still becoming? Because here's the truth. Attraction doesn't begin with words. It begins the moment you walk into the room. And when you master that, you're already halfway to building a connection that lasts.
So, we've covered a lot in this video. And if you've been paying attention, you'll notice something important. None of these steps are about tricks or manipulation. They're about showing up as your best self, confident, grounded, intentional, and creating a connection that feels real. Let's take a quick moment to recap. First impressions matter. How you look, how you carry yourself, and the warmth you bring into the room set the tone for everything that follows. Then comes building rapport and emotional connection, where you listen deeply, ask thoughtful questions, and share your own vulnerability. From there, it's about being thoughtful and intentional, remembering the little details, following up, giving her your full presence. Making her feel special means noticing who she is at her core, not just what she looks like. Playfulness brings lightness into the relationship, reminding her that life with you can be joyful and fun. Your ambition and passion reveal your purpose and energy, two things that are magnetic. Respect and space show that you're secure enough not to control her. Consistency and reliability prove that your words can be trusted. And finally, the power of touch, used gently and respectfully, creates intimacy without words. Now here's the truth. You can't force love in 3 days. That's not the point. But in 3 days, you can set the stage for something meaningful. You can show her a version of yourself that is confident, thoughtful, and genuine. And when you do that, you give her something rare in today's world, the feeling of being safe, seen, and valued. So let me ask you, what kind of man do you want to be remembered as? The one who tried too hard to impress? Or the one who showed up calm, confident, and authentic? If you take these steps seriously and put them into practice, you won't just make an impression, you'll create a connection, and connection is what grows into love. Thanks for watching, my friend. If this message resonated with you, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and share your own experiences in the comments. Remember, real love isn't built on games. It's built on presence, patience, and authenticity.